Hello and welcome to this video on the unique function in Excel. The unique function is a dynamic array formula and a firm favourite for many Excel users. Its purpose is to return a distinct or unique list of values from a given array. And that array can be a table column, range of values, or an array returned from another formula. Its syntax is quite simple. It wants the array to return from, whether you are comparing rows or columns, and whether you want to return a distinct or unique list. And we'll see the difference between those two terms very soon. Now I've got this table on this sheet named TBL attendees. And it's just a simple list of names that we're imagining have attended something. In cell C3, I want to return a distinct list of those names, and we can do that with a use of unique in its simplest form. So simply using unique, selecting that column of values, and specifying no further information. Running that will return that spill range with a list of those names in the order they occur within the table to cell C3. So that is a distinct list. That is every name that occurs at least once in that list. But if we move to cell E3, and I'll use the unique function again, but this time after selecting the table of names, I'm going to skip the second argument asking whether I'm comparing rows or columns to get to the one that asks me, are you interested in the names that occur exactly once? And that is a unique list. So it may seem strange that a function called unique needs to be told when to act in a unique way, but by default it returns a distinct list, and you specify true when you want that unique list. So close bracket and running that. These are the names that only occur once and once only in that list. So its classic use is to return that distinct list. It's a little bit like using remove duplicates or the advanced filter feature of Excel to produce that distinct list of values that you may be using in some report or maybe for a drop-down list source. Another great use of unique is how easy it makes it now to create a distinct count formula, something that Excel natively doesn't have as a worksheet function. So for example, around cell C3, I could wrap a function such as count A, or what I like to use is the rows function, to return how many rows there are in that returned array. So that will tell me there's 8. So there are 8 distinct names in that list. So I'm not counting how many names, I'm doing a distinct count on those names, like you can do in a pivot table stored in a data model or in DAX. Now we could also do that for our unique list. I could wrap the rows function around that, and now I'm returning the count of how many names, how many people only attended once, exactly once. So that's a really cool use of it. So simple they've made that formula, whereas before the unique function was around, we would often use a count ifs and some product combination. And indeed I've got a video on my channel of how to do that, which I produced about 10 years ago. Now, as mentioned, the unique function can be used to compare columns as well. Now, this is quite a rare scenario, but it can be done. So using this range I have here, where we can see the names of the regions across these kind of headers of the range, we want to return a distinct list of those region names. So in cell K2, if I use the unique function, and I'll select that range of values, so this shows that unique can be used both in a vertical and horizontal array, and I'm also running this of a range of cells rather than the column of a table like before. And on the second argument for by col, I'm going to say true. I am now comparing columns. So close bracket and enter will return the names of those regions in the same orientation as the array, so horizontally. We could, if desired, which is probably a likely situation, transpose that to a vertical spill range by simply adding the transpose function around that unique function. So adding transpose here will convert this from a horizontal to a vertical range of values. Now, two very popular uses of the unique function are to use it for the source of a drop-down list and to use it for the labels in some pivot style report. So seeing that in a practical use case here, if I want a drop-down list of regions in cell G2 that is based on the region column of this table named TBL cells, then I would first of all use the unique function for the source, and then I would link the drop-down list to it. So I'm on a sheet here named drop-down, and in cell A2, let's use the unique function to return a distinct list of those region names. I'll reference the TBL cells table, followed by the region column, and nothing else is required as it is a vertical list of values, and we do want that distinct list, which is the default. Now that returns the names of the regions, which happen to be in A to Z order, but really it's just returning them in the order they appear in the table. So preferably the sort function would be added to this to ensure that they do appear in A to Z order. And if somebody was to change the order in that table, it does not affect the order of this dropdown. Now with that done, let's go back to that report sheet and create that drop-down list. So in cell G2, if I click on the Data tab and then Data Validation, we will generate a list of values. And then for the source of this list, I will click on the drop-down sheet to navigate to it, select cell A2, which is where the formula is, the origin cell of that spill range, and append the hash sign on the end. That is the spill range operator. So I'm saying from A2 and the rest, all of them in that dynamic spill range from that formula. So clicking OK will produce that list, but with the added benefit here that it is dynamic. So it's a big improvement on using remove duplicates or some manual approach to do so. If more values are added to TBL cells, so a quick example of that, if I click in cell A13 and add the region of the West, the table will expand and so will our drop-down list. And that is a very common use of this function. I'll just delete that row, and in cell F5, another typical use of the unique function is returning a distinct list of values for some kind of pivot style report. So we could use it in the same manner that we did with the region drop down list a moment ago, just using the sort function with unique, and very easily we can get a list of the values from this product column of TBL cells in ascending order that we could then aggregate in column G. So skipping ahead here, and the SUMIFS function has been used to total the values in the total column for each value in that spill range. You can see the hash sign appended to the reference to F5 to access that spill range. Now in this final example of the unique function, we're going to see it return in multiple columns. So in this report now, I want to return the values from the product and category columns. We can also see that in the TBL sales table, the category column precedes the product column. But in the report, the products column precedes the category column. So they're in a different order, simply to show what can be done. So in cell F5, and also in the formula bar this time, we're going to use the sort function and unique together. Such a common combination. And I want sort this time to order the returned values by the second column, which will be by category. I will use the Alt-Enter shortcut to step to the next line. And here we'll use the choose cols function to specify that from TBL sales, we simply want to return column 3, the product column, then column 2, the category column, and in that order. I can close bracket for choose cols, comma and Alt-Enter for another line again. We can close off unique at this point because there's nothing else to do for unique. It is a vertical list of values and we want it to be distinct. But for the sort function, I will put a comma to specify column 2. I want it ordered by the category column. Close this off and run it. And now we have the product and category columns returned by unique. Now I should add before I finish this video that in the SUMIFs function in cell H4, the choose cols function was used there as well. And that's because the spill range returned from unique is 2 columns wide, and SUMIFs needed to be told for its criteria to only look at the first column of that spill range. So unique is a tremendous function. As I said at the start, it's a firm favourite for many Excel users. I hope you found this video useful. Please give it a thumbs up if you did, and subscribe to this channel to receive the latest tutorials. Take care. Bye for now.